stages, kids make mistake, and it's very important for them to be in a very supportive group, which supports them even if they make mistakes. And I can't think of any other better place for kids to hone those skills than in such a group. So we also had over the years some adult discussion groups around our scriptures and philosophy. And we also had Seva days, where as a group we went to some organization and performed Seva, like in the Chinmaya mission. So these are all things that we have done. And lastly, we have 2 specific days that are dedicated for cultural events. One is today, the annual day, and the other is Sangeet Sandya, which is dedicated for music. Now, I touched upon the religious and the cultural aspects of it, and it is not a stated goal of Sai Darbar for gathering for the purpose of socializing. And yet, if we are meeting the same set of families every 2 weeks or several years, it is inevitable that we develop strong social bonds. And there are probably a few of us here who are lucky enough to have a family member, like a brother or a sister living close by. But for most of us, our nearest relatives are several hundred miles away in the US, or perhaps the nearest close relative is back in India. And for us all, this satsang, this group of families, is our immediate family. And I can personally attest to it, based on my own experience in the last few years, that be it a good thing or a bad thing, this group is always there for you. And that's really a wonderful thing that we have in this group here. And lastly, we also have, in a very small way, we contribute to certain worthy causes back in India. And that actually segues me into the next slide. Shubhra, can you just move? Yeah. So, looks like it's customary for to present the financials for the previous year in each annual day. And these are the financials for the Annadhanam fund for the previous year. So we started off with a cash balance of $214. We collected 918 from the members. These are voluntary donations. And we distributed it to 3 causes, which I'll get to in just a second. And then we ended up with a balance of $229 now for the next year. These accounts and funds are being maintained by Lakshmi Narayan ji, and he provided me with this data. Next slide, please. So the first of these initiatives we support is Annadhanam at SRS Sarvodaya Girls Hostel in Chennai. This effort is being led by Vidyaji's parents, who are based in Chennai, and she has graciously provided us with some photographs to be shared with the group. So basically, these are kids aged between 5 and 17 or 18 who come from disadvantaged families. They're either orphans or probably they have a parent or even both parents, but they are in no position to support them financially in any meaningful way. So this place provides them a shelter as well as arranges for their schooling at a nearby school. And Vidyaji's parents, in the last year, they have visited this place about 8 to 10 times, and they have provided food. And from what she tells me, they have built up a rapport with the kids, and they are even at the point where the kids tell them, can you please bring us this food next time? We'd really like to have that, and that's really a wonderful thing for them to do. And the next initiative is the temple construction in Bihar. Lakshmanji's parents, they are building a temple in their hometown in Bihar. The temple is fully functional at this point. And Lakshmanji, over the years, he has shown us many photographs of this, but I think unfortunately his basement got flooded. And so at this point we have just one picture. This is the picture of the temple. And I think in the upcoming months, they are planning to build a Yagasala just outside the temple. And the last initiative is, some of us may remember that last December, Chennai was flooded and many people lost their houses and pretty much everything they had. And Murali's father, and he was here just a few months back, and people who know him know the kind of dynamic person he is. So he personally organized a lot of relief work, and in part using our very modest contribution, he has arranged food for 1,000 people for 3 days, and he's also distributed distributed saris and blankets to about 50 families. And I think some sets of that are still left, which he plans to give it out for some poor families on Diwali Day. So these are the 3 initiatives we supported. And then overall, the financials for Sai Darbar, they are being maintained by Rahul Bhai. And so we started with 294 for the year. We collected 2750 last year. And our annual day and Sangeet Sandya expenses came to about 2,987, which left us with a balance of $57. Okay. And so that's for the previous years. So looking ahead to the next year, so the big thing is we bought a projector. So we have a portable screen, and we're already making good use of it. We have all along had a projector, and actually the first year I was under the impression that it was the groups. But it turns out that it was the kindness of Gopiji, who has lent it out pretty much every single time we have asked for it, and always made it look like it belonged to the group. So now we have our own projector and screen. In terms of what we can improve over what we are already doing, I think there's definitely a larger conversation that the group has to do, and today is not the time for it, but I just want to briefly mention it so that people start thinking about it. One of the key things that we are looking for here is how this organization benefits our kids. And it was wonderful to see in the last 3 or 4 weeks since we started planning for the annual day, the kind of involvement that the kids had. Every single time we met, they were practicing one thing or the other. And the same thing happens around Sangeet Sandya time too. But the rest of the year, there is definitely a markedly lower involvement from the kids. And there are good reasons for it. Like in the past, we have had Balavihar. And perhaps that's not so relevant now because there are a lot of other organizations like Chinmaya Mission, which are running excellent Balavihar programs. So perhaps there is no need for us to run a parallel program as part of our Sai Darbar. But that said, there are probably other ways where we can engage the kids, which will supplement what they are getting outside. I think as a group, we need to brainstorm and we need to come up with ways of engaging our kids all through the year and not just around annual day and Sangeet Sandya. And also, in terms of some religious learning for adults, I think there is interest, at least with some members that I know, and perhaps a lot more, for the adults to be able to engage themselves in some kind of religious learning, either discussions on philosophy or religion or scriptures. And again, this is something that we could probably discuss and see where everybody's interest lies in. And the one other thing that we can probably look to reinstate is our Seva days, because I think that was a good thing that we are doing, and for some reason or the other, it has fizzled out over the last few years. But I think we should look to reinstate it again based on everybody's opinion. So I think all the kids are ready here. I think apart from the deities over there, I see a lot of little gods, goddesses, and bhaktas, and everybody else ready. So I will conclude praying to Baba that he should make this annual day event as much a success as the previous years have been. And Rajbhai, he's going to be anchoring the program for the rest of the afternoon and the evening. And I will welcome everybody here one more time, and then I'll hand it over to him. Thank you.
Thank you so so much, Mahadevan. Thank you so much, Ganesh. Wonderful speech, very well prepared. I couldn't believe that we remembered the whole thing. Usually we go through the slides and we still look at those things. Very well presented. Thank you so much. You covered a lot of pieces and you gave a lot of things to think about. What we would like to accomplish in the next 1 year. So with that being said, I need Riva. Everybody you can see looking beautiful here. Give a round of applause to Riva. Riva is going to perform a solo dance. We need the light here, sir. So, and who is controlling the music is checked. So, Riva.